Hello, good morning, and welcome everyone to the market scholar session this morning with the Value Flow Trading team. How are we doing? Hope we're good. Hope we are all fine. Good morning, Noah, and everyone watching from YouTube. I greet you this morning. We'll be going to the market and looking at the US equities market as US30, US100, and also S&P 500. After briefly, we'll be going into commodity asset class and see how those asset classes are doing from Abigail, analysis from Abigail, and finally, we'll wrap it up. All right, very briefly, let's go straight into what we have this morning. All right, we'll be starting off with the US market. It has been a very interesting ride lately with the US market. We've been seeing a lot of volatility in that space, right? Okay, let's move. Let me share my screen so we can start already. Okay, starting with US100. On the weekly time frame here, it's very interesting to see. On the weekly time frame on US100, we have the market being extremely bullish or being bullish, right? Recovering from the previous sell-off we had, and it's beginning to print to the higher time frame, to the upside. Sorry, on weekly time frame, we see that bullish candle we have, like an engulfing candle on the weekly time frame, telling you that from next week we should see momentum continue into the upside. On the daily time frame, what do we see? We see the market beginning to break previous lows, right? Lower highs. Price is beginning to break previous lower highs. So we should start seeing some significant move to the upside, right? Yesterday's candle printed with a very, very bullish move. This is what I'm trying to say. This was a very good bullish candle, although not too strong, but then a very good bullish candle that closed yesterday, breaking its previous lower high, right? And then that is indicative of the fact that we start our bullish move to the upside. So price has broken structure in a way to the upside on lower time frame. That's the 4-hour time frame. And with that, we expect that we are going to just see some form of retracement into some levels and then a continuation to the original direction of the market, which is it's been bullish, extremely bullish, right? So, but me, I want more confirmation in terms of price breaking structure properly and then coming into some significant area of order block or fair value gap. Those are the two things I'll be watching out for in this market that will give me, a bit of confidence in the market, right? So as it stands now, price has broken through this order block, this previous order block, which some people will use as a sell strategy to the downside, right? Price actually reacted from it a bit into this level and then continue its movement. So this level is kind of very significant, right? This level, we should see price dance around this level and then it should continue its movement from this level that we have here, right? On the 1-hour time frame, let's see if there's something really interesting that we can use to enter the market. Okay. For this morning, nothing really much has happened. Probably retracement into this zone will be a very good one to see price move to the upside, right? However, anything from that, we don't see any levels that price could accurately tap into. It has consumed this form of liquidity and then it's pushing to the upside. The next one here is just this one here, right? This one here, and then we'll see price, continue to move to the upside. All right, that being said, let's look quickly at US30. US30 has a similar price action. So far, so good. And it's beginning to recover, right? It's beginning to recover to the upside. Although this looks as though it's a clear box pattern, like a sweet box pattern on the higher time frame. You see what I'm saying? A sweep, a break to the downside, and then we expect that price will, from this place, reacts to the downside, right? We'll be watching out for that. Although from seasonality tendency, US30 tend to rally towards the end of the year, right? We tend to see like strong, significant rally towards the end of the year. So would we see that push to the downside? Not really. We might just wait and then see how market reacts off from this zone. But from a technical perspective, time frame of point of view, this is a good place to start selling the market with strictly technical perspective, right? Because you have a clean sweep to the upside, a break, and then a fair value gap, and also an order block just above, right? Which makes it kind of significant for us to start selling, right? So I'll be watching out for this to just see how the market reacts from this zone today. And if it gives me a very good, incentive, then we want to start selling off from this. But then if I'm taking out, then I will now prepare my mind for a buy, looking for setup for buys too in this market, right? Okay, going to the 4-hour time frame, we still have almost like the same thing, areas for refinement, these zones and the rest like that we can see price reacting off from these zones, have like a double fair value gap here and here, right? So if we can see some form of reaction, like strong reaction from this zone, but then we'll keep our eyes on this market to just ensure we are able to catch the opportunity, right? All right. On US500, similar place with US100, right? Or even US30, sorry. Similar place with US30. Let me delete all of these markups, right? And price is already in this fair value gap. We see a form of melt to the downside, right? On the daily time frame, this is a fair value gap. Price has already reacted off everything. So we should expect like a meltdown from this zone to the downside if we want to see that sell. However, if the market is still bullish, like everywhere is significantly bullish, then we'll see a break above this to the upside. It's just a thing of having both setup in mind and then dividing your risks into two so that I can take each position. Peradventure market decides to sell, you are in the market. If it decides to buy, you're in the market. But from our overall structure, we can see here clearly that we are bullish, right? We are bullish. So it makes sense to continue buying, right? But then we'll be looking at what the market wants to do. Well, the overall structure on the daily time frame is bullishness, right? Even on the 4-hour time frame, although 4-hour time frames change structure a bit at some point, but overall structure is still looking bullish, right? Extremely bullish. So we could see the market continue its movement to the upside for S&P 500. That's briefly what we have this morning in the US equities market. And very briefly, my colleague will be coming up for our own part of the analysis where we'll be looking at in-depth, explanation for the commodity pairs. All right, it's a good place to ask a question. If we have any question, Mr. Noir and Mr. Amos, if you have any question, you can ask in the comment section and then respond back to you. And if you have no question, we'll be going on a very, very short break. Ensure you stay tuned. Don't go anywhere. Cheers and God bless, guys.
Incoming mail.
All right, welcome back. That was a very beautiful analysis by Demola. So very quickly, we'll be looking at AUD, USD, and USD CAD to see the opportunities that they present to us today. Okay, so I'm going to be starting off quickly looking at USD CAD from the H4 time frame. You realize that most of the points of interest in marked out from Tuesday's analysis is still very much on the chart. We marked out different POIs saying if this doesn't hold, this should hold. If it doesn't hold, this should hold. So we're basically looking at temporary sell-offs of USD CAD into levels where we start to look for buy opportunities from. Zooming into this, you'd see even on the H4 time frame that this level got violated. So did this zone, and price has now traded into the final point of interest, which is 1.40205. Now, for for those of us who were not here on Tuesday and looking freshly at the market with clean eyes, trying to see what the market is doing, we see that a new sunshine has been printed on the 4 hours time frame. What this basically means is because this has been printed, we'll be seeing a temporal buy position that will either continue the overall buy move, or it could be a retracement to fill liquidity that was left in the process of this crazy sell-off and then continue in the same direction. So because I now have this in mind, let's go to H1 time frame to see if those POIs can still stand. So I'm just going to adjust this to now fit into our current points of interest that we see in the market. So point of interest 1.40888, 1.40472, and 1.40290. Basically, I'm thinking that we will see buys from here. Look at this crazy imbalance that was left in the market, which happens to have a conference with a support zone. So this is a support level, fair value gap. This price could buy back into the zone. So right now, because of what I'm seeing on H4, I'm thinking there's going to be a temporal buy of USD CAD. This temporal buy can become an eventual continuation. Remember that. So looking at the M5 time frame now, looking at the M5 time frame, zoom in. I'm going to be marking out yesterday's high and low. Now, before I proceed, you see that this is a zone that we marked out from our last analysis. And you know how we always do this analysis, especially using the all-weather strategy. We'd always say if price comes here and this level is not respected, give me a second to take this off. Okay, so we'd always say if price does not respect here as a support level, if you see a break below and a retest, we can look for sell opportunities. And what the price presents here, there was a break and a retest, which now become a sell opportunity that presented itself for USD CAD. But now, what is price now presenting to us today? I'm going to be marking out yesterday's high and low. This is not the highest high, so I'm going to adjust that. Marking out yesterday's high into today's price movement. Mark out yesterday's low as well into today's price movement. Right? Day before yesterday's low, marked out into today's price movement, and day before yesterday's high. So what am I now saying? I'm basically saying that this point of interest should serve when price eventually returns here. Because I have a temporal buy opportunity, I'll be looking to buy USD CAD from where it currently is, and my first take profit level will be 1.40888. Now, does that mean that price cannot stop when it gets into the zone? Or even this POI that we marked from H1, it can. However, this would be my take profit target, which is about 50 pips. So for USD CAD, I'm currently looking at a temporal buy opportunity from here to here. And if price is able to break through all of these resistance zones, then to be safe to say the buy has resumed. However, if this resistance holds previous support on current resistance, then I can now take profit from here I start looking for opportunities that will give me a sell signature. Do you understand? Please, if you understand, let me know in the chat box what I just relayed to you, so that even those who don't have the indicators know the price point we're looking at. So my take profit level again would now be 1.40888. Once I see a confirmation for this to take my buy, I'll be buying USD CAD into 1.4088. Okay, now then let's look at AUD USD starting from the H4 time frame. Now look at this. We marked out 13 points of interest as well, like we did on USD CAD. Price has violated everything. And then this is now a new sunshine that has been printed. What do we do with these sunshines? We're expecting, temporal move in the opposite direction. And pairing that with the fact that we've seen consecutive downtrend break of structures to the downside, it could be that this sell may just continue. But regardless of it continuing or not, what is my current move for this asset class is to see a temporal sell. So I'm looking at USD CAD H4 sunshine printed. We could see sell opportunities into what levels though, so that if the buy is going to resume, what buy you may ask? The buy of the overall move. Zooming out, you see that the predominant structure, especially with our trend indicator, is showing to the upside, but also paying attention to downtrend. Hence why I was saying the sell can resume and then this trend will eventually follow suit. However, because it is still predominantly a buy move, it is possible we see a temporal retracement, temporal sell, and it starts to buy. Remember, you want to be flexible in the market. You're not trying to impose what you think would happen. Remain flexible is what I personally always advise. So looking at this now, I'm saying I'm going to be seeing a temporal sell opportunity for AUD into these points of interest. This is a POI 1, POI 2, and point of interest 3. So 0.65, 163, 64994, and 64660. And if price happens to now sell and violate through the zone, best believe the downtrend break of structure we saw happening will continue. AUS will have more sell moves. So I'm going to pretty much mark out yesterday's high and low like I did on USD CAD. I'm going to do that on this asset as well. So there's a confluence here. This is the H1 point of interest we marked out, happens to be in confluence with yesterday's low. So that's a high probability level. And then this is now yesterday's high, the highest point of yesterday. Mark out day before yesterday's high, day before yesterday's high right here, and day before yesterday's low right here. So let us see what price does. Are you going to sell? We know for sure, or let's not say for sure, but I expect AUD USD to sell into at the very barest minimum 0.64770 is what I'm thinking price will sell into. And if price comes into the zone and then gives us sign that this level is going to serve as a support, then we can now start looking for buy opportunities. However, if there is no sign, we're looking for more breakout structures to continue to sell to the downside. Do you understand, please? Was this helpful? Do you have questions relating to AUD USD? Let me know so I answer them. Before we call it a wrap, we convene at 2 p.m. for the market follow recap. Any questions? Was this helpful? Do you understand? Right. Okay, so thank you so much for paying attention to this point. We're going to be calling it a wrap here. Let's see how these asset classes pay out. I'm interested, even more specifically on USD CAD. So once I see a confirmation, I'll be taking that trade and we'll see how it plays out by 2 p.m. As usual, do have an amazing trading day. Cheers and God bless. Bye.